Welcome to the fourth book of the Bible, the book of Numbers. But don't let the name fool you. This isn't a book about statistics or mathematics. It's a profound story about the human heart and about a God who remains faithful even when we are not. The book of Numbers picks up right where the breathtaking, dramatic story of Exodus left off. Israel's history has already been marked by astonishing miracles. God has rescued his people from the grip of Pharaoh, from centuries of brutal slavery in Egypt. He has led them through the crashing waves of the Red Sea, guided them by a pillar of cloud and fire, and brought them safely to Mount Sinai, that sacred mountain where heaven seemed to touch earth. There, something incredible happened. Not only did God deliver them, he entered into a sacred covenant with them. He gave them his law, revealing his heart, his will, and his standard for living as a holy people. He offered them guidance for how to walk in freedom, no longer as slaves, but as his chosen nation. And most remarkably of all, he gave them his presence. Through the tabernacle, God, the eternal, all-powerful Creator, would dwell among them, right there in their midst. This is not just ancient history. It's the story of a God who longs to be near his people, even when they don't deserve it. Because despite Israel's repeated failings, their complaints, their doubts, their moments of rebellion, God's grace made a way. He refused to abandon them. He made it possible for sinful people to live close to his holy presence. But now, the time at Sinai has come to an end. After a year of preparation, teaching, and dwelling in the shadow of God's mountain, it's time to move forward. It's time to step out in faith toward the destiny God had spoken centuries earlier to their ancestor Abraham, the promise of a land, a future, and a hope. Yet Numbers is far more than just a record of geography or wandering. The very structure of the book mirrors this journey, from the heights of divine encounter to the depths of human weakness. It's a journey not only across harsh deserts and unforgiving landscapes, but across the inner wilderness of the human heart. It is a journey through fear, through doubt, through rebellion, but also through discipline, mercy, and ultimately hope. Because behind every step of this wandering people stands a God who is not only leading them forward, but shaping them into something new. The question is, will they trust him? Will they let go of the chains of the past to walk into the freedom of his promises? And maybe deeper still, will we? And so, as this new chapter of Israel's journey unfolds, the very first step God commands may seem, at first glance, surprisingly mundane. A census, a counting of the people. But this isn't about numbers for numbers' sake. This isn't a cold spreadsheet of statistics. This is preparation for war. This is about identifying who is ready to step into the role God has called them to fulfill, to fight for, to inherit, and to establish the land God promised Abraham. This is a nation in transition, moving from slavery to freedom, from wandering to conquest, from disorganization to divine purpose. It's this census that gives the book its name, Numbers. But beneath the surface, something much deeper is taking shape. Because this counting isn't just about bodies, it's about belonging. It's about identity. Who are these people now? Slaves no longer. They are being counted as the people of God, each tribe by name, each family remembered, each person seen. And then, God gives detailed, even precise instructions for how this people is to live and move. At the very center of the camp stands the tabernacle, the visible sign of God's presence among his people. Surrounding it, the priests and Levites, those entrusted with the sacred duties of worship and sacrifice. And encircling them, the 12 tribes of Israel, carefully positioned, each in their rightful place, with Judah leading the way whenever the camp sets out. This arrangement isn't random. It's not just efficient. It's theological. It's a living symbol, a daily reminder of a truth that Israel must never forget, and neither should we. Life is meant to revolve around God's holy presence. He is not to be placed at the margins, consulted only in emergencies. He belongs at the center of the camp, of the journey, of every decision, of every heart. But here's where the tension lies. Having order on paper is one thing. Having order in the human heart is something else entirely. Maps can be drawn. Camps can be arranged. Marching orders can be given. But the real battle isn't just against external enemies. It's the internal war of trust, of obedience, of surrender. Israel's camp may look orderly from above, but inside those tents, hearts are restless. Faith is fragile. Old fears still lurk beneath the surface. And what's about to unfold in the wilderness will reveal just how difficult it is to keep God at the center, not just of a camp, but of a life. So, with their camp in perfect order and the tabernacle at the center, Israel sets out from Mount Sinai, moving forward at last into what lies ahead, the vast, unforgiving wilderness of Paran. But almost immediately, things begin to unravel. Though God's presence travels with them, though his promises are as sure as ever, the human heart reveals how fragile trust can be. Complaints echo through the camp, grumblings about hunger, thirst, discomfort. And shockingly, the people begin to romanticize Egypt. Egypt, the place of their chains, their suffering, their oppression. Suddenly, the harsh familiarity of slavery seems more comforting than the uncertain freedom of following God through the unknown. Isn't that just like us? How often do we long for the prisons we've known, rather than risk the faith required to trust God for something greater? And the rebellion doesn't stop with the crowds. Even within Moses' own family, his brother Aaron and his sister Miriam, jealousy and resentment take root. They speak against him openly, questioning the authority God himself had given. Still, God is patient. Still, his promise stands. But on the strength of their enemies, the size of the cities, the impossibility of victory. At Paran, on the edge of possibility, God commands Moses to send 12 spies into the promised land, one leader from each tribe. Their mission, to see the land God is giving them. But when they return, 10 of the 12 are overwhelmed by fear. They report not on the beauty of the land, not on the fruitfulness God had described. We'll be destroyed by the Canaanites, they say they believe. They trust. They see giants where they should have seen promises. They forget the God who split the sea. Only Joshua and Caleb stand firm. They remember, if God is with us, nothing can stand against us. But fear is contagious. It spreads like wildfire through the camp. Panic replaces faith. The land will be given. Talk of rebellion fills the air. Let's choose a new leader. Let's go back to Egypt. Once again, Moses falls to his knees. A painful lesson written in sand and stone. Once again, he intercedes, not just for survival, but for mercy. He calls on the unchanging faithfulness of God, on the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a covenant of blessing, of promise, of a future. And once again, God listens. Or will we turn back to what he has already freed us from? But this time, mercy does not erase consequence. God answers decisively, reaffirming his chosen leaders. God will keep his promise, but not to this generation. This generation so quick to forget, so slow to trust, will not enter the promised land. Instead, they will wander for 40 long years in the wilderness, until every adult who rebelled dies beneath the desert sun. Only their children, those raised in tents, not in Egypt, will inherit the future God had prepared. It's a sobering moment. God is faithful, but faithlessness delays the fulfillment of his promises. And once again, the question echoes, not just for Israel, but for us. Will we trust him, even when the way forward seems impossible? You'd think such consequences would humble them, but things spiral further. Leaders among the Levites challenge Moses and Aaron's authority. As they press on, the complaints return. No water, no faith. Why did you bring us here to die? God tells Moses to speak to a rock to bring forth water. But Moses, in frustration, strikes it instead twice. When they cry out in repentance, God tells Moses to craft a bronze serpent and lift it high. By doing so, he puts himself in the place of God, claiming credit for the miracle. Because of this, even Moses will not enter the promised land. Then comes one of the strangest moments. God sends venomous snakes among the people as judgment. Those who look upon it in faith are healed. God's covenant cannot be undone by human schemes. This moment foreshadows something far greater, a day when another would be lifted up, offering healing to all who look to him in faith, and ultimately to Jesus. As Israel camps near Moab, we meet Balaam, a pagan sorcerer hired by the king of Moab to curse Israel. He provides manna in the desert, water from the rock, protection from their enemies. He remains faithful even when his people are faithless. But Balaam can only speak blessings, not curses. Balaam delivers a prophetic vision. A king will rise from Israel, one who will bring justice not just to Israel, but to all nations. This points forward through David. Even as Israel stumbles below in rebellion, God works unseen above, securing their future. When we step back, the shape of Numbers becomes clear. It's a cycle of rebellion, judgment, mercy, and hope. Next comes Deuteronomy, Moses' passionate call to remember, to obey, and to hold fast to the God who never let go. God disciplines his people, yes, but he never abandons them. These stories echoed through Israel's history, through the prophets, through the poets of the Psalms, through the apostles of the New Testament. Victories over enemies, tribes settling into the promised land. They remind us God keeps his promises, but he also allows us to face the consequences of our choices. He leads us through deserts not to destroy us, but to shape us, to prepare us to receive what he longs to give. The final chapters of Numbers focus on a new generation, the children of those who died in the wilderness. Another census. The story ends with Israel on the edge of fulfillment, and Moses preparing his final words. But the story isn't over yet. So what can we learn from Numbers? That life's deserts are not punishments, they are classrooms. That God's faithfulness runs deeper than our failures. That his promises endure even when we do not. Thank you for watching. If this journey through the wilderness stirred something in you, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with others. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What lessons from the book of Numbers spoke to you most deeply? Let us know in the comments. And stay tuned, because up next is Deuteronomy, where Moses will pour out his heart in one final plea. Remember, choose life. Follow God. See you in the next video.